Just 4 years ago, Americans learned that even the most senior government officials did not understand the extent of obligations undertaken by the Wall Street firms that they regulated. Even the most senior officials of the firms themselves did not understand the extent of their liabilities and obligations. We all saw then the consequences of incomplete financial reporting. In that case, the consequences were a panic that threatened the very foundations of our economy. 6 months after that collapse, Dick Ravitch assumed the post of Lieutenant Governor of New York State after a long and highly successful career in both the private and public sectors, including shepherding New York City out of its financial collapse in the 1970s. After arriving in Albany, Dick learned that New York State's finances were afflicted with the same head-in-the-sand mentality. Neither state officials nor third parties such as rating agencies understood the full extent of state commitments or the consequences of those commitments. Of course, the consequences are very different. With the global financial crisis, the consequences were immediate. With state governments, the burn is slower, more like a frog slowly being boiled to death, as more and more services are cut, even as taxes rise and even as economies recover. But both situations emanate from the same basic cause, a failure to expose financial truths and consequences. And they have in common an excessive and irrelevant reliance on rating agencies. In the global financial crisis, investors relied to their detriment about the safety of certain securities and institutions. With states, rating agencies look out only for bondholders, but not for junior and priority service recipients who get funded after debt is serviced, such as public colleges and universities, welfare recipients, parks and recreation centers, mass transit, courts, and more. Or for taxpayers, or for future generations who will require sufficient net revenues for their own services and their own infrastructure. For example, what rating agency pays attention to the fact that even though California state revenues grew more than 50% over the last 10 years, state spending on the 33 University of California and California State University campuses that serve more than 700,000 students declined by 20%. The fact is that no one is looking out for service recipients, taxpayers, or future generations.